The meeting of the Open Space and Ecology Committee will now come to order. First of all, we need to adopt the agenda. Has everybody looked at it?
Yes.
Looked okay to me. One thing I would like to ask, though, is that we seem to be short a couple of members pretty frequently, so I wondered if we could add a discussion item about that.
Well, I was going to do a staff update that it
Okay.
seems that, well, we can do it then.
Okay, that's fine. If it's in there, that's great. We can see the assembled multitudes out there ready to make comments.
I did have one. Sorry, I did have one thing. I don't know whether we would discuss it as chair and committee member matters, but I'd like us to. I'm concerned about the amount of lot coverage that's going on right now with infill housing in Brisbane and remodels and that kind of thing, to where I'm questioning our area ratios for lot coverage. It seems pretty intense in certain areas. That's something that we would discuss at all.
Yeah, let's do it under chair and committee member matters because we can't agendize it without
Right.
notice.
Okay.
Okay.
So oral communications,
I have
there
an oral
don't seem to be.
communication.
Do you have an oral communication?
I
First of all,
do.
we have to adopt the agenda.
Oh.
So is there a move to adopt the agenda? Is
I move to adopt the agenda.
there a second?
I'll second.
All approved?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Okay, so we've got that. We don't have any oral communications. Oh, you
Yes.
do? Okay,
I do
go
have
ahead.
an oral communication. It's also a correction, not a correction to the minutes, but actually this Saturday is Mountain Watch's plant sale. I thought it was on the 11th, but it's this Saturday. It starts at 9 o'clock, 9 to 2, at the Mission Blue Nursery, which is right behind the Brisbane Firehouse. So you go north on Old Bay Shore and turn where the machinery and equipment sign is. So we have plants that are all sourced from San Bruno Mountain with legal permits, and that's all we carry is San Bruno Mountain natives. And this is absolutely, that we're about to get a big storm, the perfect time
to plant.
to plant natives. So please come to the nursery. We'll have the sale rain or shine. It doesn't matter. Plants don't mind, so we won't mind. So please come Saturday. Plant sale, San Bruno Mountain Watch, Mission Blue Nursery. Thank you.
Okay, so have you all had a chance to look over the minutes?
Yes.
Any amendments?
Nope, for me.
Barbara, is
Move to approve the minutes?
there a second?
I'll second.
All approved?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, boy.
Great. Well, hi, everybody. My name's Adrienne Etherton. I'm really excited to be here in week 2 as the Sustainability Management Analyst here at the City of Brisbane. So I've met a couple of you before through my former role. So those of you who know, I was with Sustainable San Mateo County, a local grassroots nonprofit organization. I was there for about 7 years, 6 of which I was the executive director. And so I'm really excited to kind of be on the other side of the table. I've been in this very room as an advocate before, and now I'm here as staff and looking forward to helping all of you move forward the Climate Action Plan and other sustainability initiatives within the city. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a background. My education is actually in industrial engineering. I grew up in the Midwest in southern Illinois near St. Louis. Went to school at University of Illinois, and I've been out in the Bay Area for coming up on 10 years now. And when I got here, you might remember, beginning of 2008 wasn't a great time in the economy. So I had a variety of short-term things and spent a lot of time studying and learning more about sustainability. So I took some courses locally at the Community College District in environmental science and photovoltaics. Got a photovoltaic certificate, a LEED certificate, took a bunch of courses at the Pacific Energy Center run by PG&E on building science and energy efficiency. So really kind of that was my starting place locally with sustainability. And then I found Sustainable San Mateo County, actually started there as a volunteer and kind of grew with them over the last few years. So if you know Sustainable San Mateo County, you know that their view of sustainability is very broad. They kind of take that triple bottom line approach, or the 3 E's of economy, environment, and equity, as they refer to it. And so I've been involved in issues from water and transportation to green building, housing, transportation, kind of running the whole spectrum of different issues that make a community sustainable. So I'll have a slightly narrower focus here, but I think really, looking forward to kind of bringing that perspective from that organization here to all of you. One of the really cool things that I got to do there and got really interested in over the last several years was participate in the Regionally Integrated Climate Action Planning Suite, or RICAPS program. Some of you've probably heard of that. So I'd known Karen for a while through that committee, and a number of other counterparts of mine now in other cities around the county. And I've participated in a whole bunch of other committees, things like the County Spare the Air Resource Team, Food Systems Alliance, actually recently participated in a few meetings of the High-Speed Rail Community Working Group, I believe they called it. So I've participated in a lot of different committees and coalitions on a lot of different issues around the community in the recent years. Currently, I'm still going to participate in volunteering a little bit with Sustainable San Mateo County. So I'll be helping them with their Sustainability Awards program as they transition and find a new director. I also participate on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee in my hometown of Half Moon Bay. That just started a couple months ago, so I'm in the thick of working on a bicycle pedestrian master plan over there. And I am on the Leadership Advisory Board for the leadership program run by the San Mateo City Chamber of Commerce. So a few things that I'll be remaining involved in that I kind of got involved with at Sustainable San Mateo County and am really passionate about. So I'm going to kind of keep up my involvement even as I dive in here. So what else?
Jeez. You can't be that old.
Well, a lot has happened in the last few years. Most of that is in my not quite a decade in San Mateo County. So as I mentioned, I live in Half Moon Bay with my husband Leo. We have 2 adopted shelter mutts, so I'm a dog lover. We like to hang out at the beach and hike on the coast trail and, all of that kind of fun stuff that comes along with living on the coast, which is kind of a dream for me as a Midwestern kid who was very landlocked. So I'll go ahead and have you go to the next slide. I threw this in there because I really love this cartoon. Some of you have probably seen it. I think I kind of think of it like as my personal philosophy on sustainability. I kind of used it when it was, why are you doing this? Or, as I said, I'm from the Midwest. So I'd get questions sometimes going back home about why is this necessary? Climate change isn't real. And I obviously firmly believe in climate change, but I also believe that sustainability can do a lot more for making our communities great and supporting healthy, vibrant economies and people. And so I think there's a lot of other really good reasons to do some of the things that your committee has been doing and that I'm looking forward to working with you. So I just wanted to kind of throw this in there, posted it up on my cube wall already. So kind of my motto. And that's, I think, all I was going to talk about. I'll talk about a little later in staff updates some of the things that I've already started working on. And I would love to hear from all of you a little bit of your background and kind of what kind of expertise you bring that I can rely on.
All right. What shall we do now?
Me first? Well, this is my second year. It's my end of my first term, right? Second year. So, so I came on board And really, this has always been my passion. I have been on boards, many boards in corporate organizations and associations. President of one, but what I've always wanted to do was learn more about really the specifics, information, and things that I can then teach others, educate myself truthfully, which is why I joined. So I'm here learning a lot from some amazing folk, and now welcome, very, very much. Great. So I've been here since 2000. I rented for 3 years and bought 2003. Grace of God. And so raised my daughter here, and she's now living in New Zealand. But so I'm here and working and just feel very blessed. And welcome again. It's great. Nice to have you aboard.
So I'm Michelle Salmon, and very fortunate to be born and raised in Brisbane. And my mother was came here in 1930 when she was 3, so definitely local love of Brisbane. And my dad served on the first city council for 13 years. His picture's in the lobby, in the 5 on this wall. And so my parents worked hard to save San Bruno Mountain, to save Brisbane from urban redevelopment. And so I sort of grew up with that passion. And I have hiked on the mountain all my life, and got my degree in biology with emphasis in botany and ecology from San Francisco State, and went on to not work in biology but in marketing for the last several decades. I serve on San Bruno Mountain Watch on their board, and obviously I care very deeply about the well-being of Brisbane and our environment and the mountain, and the quality of our lives. And I knew about climate change when I was in college. Actually marched on the first Earth Day in 1970. God, I'm old. Anyway, and so, yeah, it's a passion for me. And I got tapped by Ray Miller to be on the Open Space and Ecology Committee. Like I needed one more thing on my plate, but you don't say no to Ray Miller. So that's that. How long have I been on the committee, Karen? Too long?
I was just gonna ask you how long, 'cause it's longer than I've served staff to the committee.
I don't know. Not as long as Glenn. How's that?
Yeah, so hi, Adrienne. I think we've met a time or two. I'm Glenn Fieldman. I'm the old, long-term serving person on the committee. I've been on the committee since I think 2004.
You want to use this as a cane?
Thank you, Barbara. I'm not infirm
Most
yet.
experienced,
Turn it up the
not
other way.
oldest.
Turn it the other way.
So I've been on the committee a long time. I teach environmental studies at San Francisco State. Was one of the founding members of the environmental studies program. We fought really hard to establish an environmental studies program there. So before I taught in the environmental studies program, I was teaching in the international relations program. So I come a sort of roundabout route. But I read a book about climate change in 1988 and thought, oh my goodness. So that sort of started a lot of things. But that's one of the reasons that I joined the committee to create the environmental studies program. And when I moved to Brisbane, which was in 2003, I was really interested in how city government worked. I didn't really know much about it. My focus had been much more global institutions, World Bank, World Trade Organization, all that kind of stuff. And I was interested in kind of answering for myself the question, well, if we set global goals at a climate conference, for instance, how does that translate into action on the ground? And Brisbane is a really good place to get involved in city government. It's small, it's not intimidating, it's walking distance from my house.
Sustainable.
Yeah, so I can come to meetings here with no carbon footprint. So that was pretty appealing. Anyway, so I came and stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed. There you go.
She's tried to get away from us for a few times, but
We just don't let her.
yeah.
Plotting escape. Anyway, we're really glad that you're here. Bob has done a wonderful job for us in addition to his other
You're here now,
duties,
you
but-
can do the gavel.
But we're really glad to have a staff person whose actual job description is to work with the committee and to advance the cause of sustainability. So great. Good to hear you.
Don't be thinking you're off the hook, Bob.
Exactly. Barbara?
I guess I can claim to be a lifelong environmentalist. I was captain of the recycling team in elementary school and took some summer programs at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry on environmental and green building back when I was, like 10. And it was still the 70s. Funny thing is, I went into costuming, but I have continued to be mentally and personally bifurcated between environmentalism and costuming, which, keeps my brain highly agile, I like to think. That cartoon by Joel Pett actually is on our homepage.
It's on my office door. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, my husband and I's sustainability website. It's on the homepage of that. You might enjoy The Theory of Anyway by Sharon Asked, and it's a very short read. I was an early adopter of a movement called Riot for Austerity, which was based on George Monbiot's book. I'm probably saying his long name wrong.
Hombio.
Monbiot. Okay, there we go. And since then, my focus has been on living a most sustainable life that I can manage in a way that I think I'm really exploring that with my own personal time in a way that I think is going to be most compatible with people's current expectations for their lives. Rather than telling everybody, to go out to the woods and eat berries and live in grass huts. And there are those members in Riot for Austerity, but my kind of focus is on trying to make sustainability that looks quote unquote normal. I have one other thing I was going to say. Oh, and I'm not a fan of the 3 pillars, since you brought that up. I personally think that environmentalism or environmental sustainability underpins the other 2 pillars. Because you cannot have social justice if there is not clean water, and you cannot have an thriving economy without resource management. So I'm very much of the opinion that environment underpins the other 2 pillars of sustainability. So there we go.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody, for letting me get to know you a little bit, and I look forward to doing so much more as we move forward.
Super.
Okay.
So I think the first item on our agenda is to talk about plans for next year. Goals, work plan, that kind of thing. So maybe we could get on with that.
I think it's, there we go.
Oh, okay.
So usually we base this on our previous work plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did, and we didn't get the slide on the slideshow. I guess I forgot to pass on that we wanted.
Should we, maybe we could do the letter first, and we could get copies of the thing that you sent? That would be really helpful. Because I read it, and it was really good.
Yeah.
So let's switch the agenda order and review the letter.
Fine with me.
Okay. I thought the letter was excellent, just really excellent. Good job. Good job, Karen and Glenn. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Megan, did you have a comment on it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot I didn't have this on. I said it was very concise, very clear, all the way through. I thought it's good.
Makes excellent points,
Yeah.
and I think we should just sign it and send it.
Barbara?
I had kind of wanted to add, if the committee thought it was appropriate, a few words about upping the expectation for tree replacement.
It's there.
It's there.
Oh, it is there? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even non-protected trees, though.
It says that.
Oh, okay. It says require 1-to-1 replacements of upper story trees with upper story trees. Are you talking about something different?
Yeah, I guess I was assuming that would be interpreted as, because right now only certain trees are required to replacement, so I was considering that clause subordinate to whether or not the tree would require replacement.
Pardon?
So we're still talking about protected trees.
No, actually, I would like to see even non-protected trees, maybe certain classes of non-protected trees replaced sometimes. I mean, so trees can be protected because of their species, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's an acacia, okay, well, clearly we don't want to replace it with another acacia.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody takes out a really large acacia, then it's staff's discretion whether or not that,
That tree
20-foot
gets
tall
replaced.
acacia gets replaced or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to push a little harder on seeing that particular, that intersection of trees where wasn't desirable, but wasn't protected, but was really big. And just push a little harder on that front.
Well, really big trees, as I read the ordinance,
Mm-hmm.
are protected. If they're a certain diameter, they are protected.
Okay.
That was my understanding. Is that right, Karen? Are really large trees protected no matter what species?
Are they by age?
Well.
Or is that the same thing?
You can't determine age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she-
It's
So you cut it
circumference or
down.
diameter,
That they
probably,
need to be replaced with another
Yeah.
tree.
right.
Yeah, but okay.
So they are protected. I mean, if it was like a big umbrella pine, it's not a native tree.
Yeah.
But if it was, I think it's 30 inches in circumference, it's protected, isn't that right?
Yeah, 24 inches.
I
Or
read
no,
the
30,
ordinance last
30 inches at 24 above grade.
So are you talking about
Okay.
bringing other trees into the ordinance so that they are protected?
No, I guess a lot of trees are not being asked to be replaced.
Yeah, so maybe you're qualitatively saying,
Yeah.
you know, replant a tree as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
Just more-
yeah. I mean, I think if somebody takes out a sapling, perhaps that doesn't merit replacement. But,
So we could add to number 3, which starts with reword the ordinance.
Or the value.
So we're already trying to slow it down a little bit by asking,
yeah.
hopefully the planning department will be directed by the council to talk to property owners who come in for a permit and say, this tree does have climate protection value and habitat value, please think really hard. And then, but other trees don't even require a permit, as I understand it. Is that right?
I think that's right.
So I'm not sure where we snag people and say,
Well, when you said a sapling, I mean, I guess there must be a number. There's this number that you don't need to get a permit to take out.
Well, I have a question. What do you mean that other trees you don't need a permit for? If they're bigger than a
Anything lower
certain
than, certain size, they can take them out, right? I thought what's the difference between?
yeah, my
24.
understanding of the ordinance, and it really is kind of tricky, but if it's protected, then you have to have a permit. If it
Yeah.
isn't protected, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have to have a permit, then the property owner doesn't need to say anything to anybody before taking the tree out. I don't see what we can do unless we want to amend the ordinance to say that any tree removal or, you know, reduce the diameter of the protected trees or something like that, that's the only way that we can say, you know, you need to replace it, because
Yeah, I guess I'm just stymied because there was some trees on, I want to say Monterey, that were really big upper story trees, but they were acacias. They had to be, I didn't, it was somebody's backyard. I couldn't trespass. Plus, I didn't know about it till the tree was gone. But, you know, they had to be over 30 inches in diameter. In circumference to be as tall as they were. And yet, because they were acacias, replacement trees were not required.
So replacement trees should be required for trees of that size, even if it's a noxious species you're taking out.
Yeah, I mean,
And in that case, the city needs to replace the eucalyptus trees along San Mateo Lane with a different tree,
With a tree.
yeah.
which they didn't do, or
Ooh.
it hasn't grown big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, does that, sorry, I don't know all the information, if that ordinance applies to the city right of way, or that's, you know, the street trees.
Yeah, I don't know that this applies to the city. I mean, philosophically it should.
I think
Well,
it does.
would
Okay.
after
It
it
does.
was passed. I mean, then it would apply. I mean, for anything moving forward,
It's like,
right?
Yeah, the tree ordinance applies to city trees.
Yeah,
Um,
and
so-
I think it envisions maybe some cases where it doesn't make sense to put back a tree,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
some cases, but
definitely. I mean, there people on Humboldt are taking out 4 large trees, and to develop the property. Actually, I think they already came out this summer, and they're doing a big house, and they're going to put 2 of them, I think, on the property and 2 of them in First Park. So, I mean, I'm perfectly fine if somebody wants to put a tree somewhere else, or even, I mean, I think,
As
But
long
isn't
as
that
it
what
doesn't.
it says? It
Yeah.
says require 1-to-1 replacement
yeah,
of upper story
Oh.
trees
okay.
with upper story trees. So I'm not following exactly what change you want.
So, okay, I'm sorry I'm not being very articulate here. I just think that somebody could read that as require a 1-to-1 replacement tree of upper story trees, or that could be applied only to protected trees.
Well, but
doesn't say
That
that.
is-
Say that.
Yeah.
that is it, because protected trees, as I understand it, are the only trees that require a permit.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I think you're right, so a 30-inch circumference would be about a 10-inch diameter.
But
So
what
we're
I'm
back
getting
to-
at is that it's not happening that way, and I just thought it would be useful to have more explicit language, or to
More
say
explicit how.
require 1-to replacement of all upper story trees.
But that requires giving protected status to more trees than currently have it.
If protected status is defined by the circumference of the tree, being,
That's one way, yeah.
Or the type.
or the type, but let's just take the circumference because we're talking about types that may or may not be,
Yeah.
you know, like black acacias. So a 10-inch, a 30-inch circumference is a 10-inch diameter, more or less, you know, pies. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and so that can be a rather not very large tree,
Yeah, that's not huge.
or it could be a large tree. But so most of the trees that we're talking about already have protected status. I think people aren't aware and are taking them out without permits.
That definitely
Yes.
happens.
There's also, I heard personally from someone in the planning department that it was kind of considered pro forma to give permits, which is why I put
Yes.
language in there that shouldn't happen. One thing we could do, because I read the ordinance, I read it more than once. The ordinance is not all that clear. Maybe we could submit some questions to the planning department, I guess it is, that has jurisdiction over this, and say, get them to tell us in plain language, if a private property owner has a tree on his or her property and it falls below the protected status size-wise, or is not protected for some other reason, can the property owner take it out without a permit? What I've been thinking is protection equals permit required, but maybe that's not right. I'd like to know if it is.
But I don't think that should delay us in submitting this letter to the
Yeah,
council.
that's
Well,
fine.
I think
I
we
do
should.
because if those two things aren't the same, we may need to make some more tweaks.
Right, but this isn't writing the ordinance. This is introducing the subject of writing the ordinance.
And I mean, to Michelle's point, the ordinance won't get written in a vacuum.
Sure.
So we can still update this too,
Yes.
another time.
Yeah, I just prefer to submit all the changes at once, and I'm
But I prefer that we don't wait any longer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
nicely written.
You know,
no, I think it's really great, Glenn. I just had one small
one thing to think
thought
about is
Glad
thing
you
I
brought
thought
that
could
up,
be
Barbara.
clarified, but
with a change in council, and they're gonna assign new liaisons to the
Liaisons.
committee. They're if we submit it now, they're probably not gonna act on it until the new council is in place. I mean, I think if we wait,
I defer to the rest of the committee. If y'all want to send it,
you know, I don't know if
Sign
we
it.
send the letter today, they're gonna assign it tomorrow, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'd
what-
prefer to go ahead and send it.
I'd prefer to go ahead and send it.
I agree.
okay.
And
I'm outvoted.
We'll send it, and we'll make sure that this process doesn't happen just with
Yeah.
planning staff and nobody has any input, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign it under protest.
Aw.
She's kidding.
Well, it's great that we had that discussion, though. Thank you, Barbara, because truthfully, that had some juices flowing in making that, think about it. So
Yeah, and this isn't the ordinance. This isn't the
it's
exact.
just the opening their eyes.
This
I
is
know.
raising
The
the issue.
first raising, yeah.
And sometimes we wait too long, and it's
Waits too
gone
long.
past the ability for us to be able to make a change.
Yeah.
if we're in it.
Start at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Moving on.
And thank you
Yeah.
for your hard work on it. I
Yes.
think it's really well written and really kind of covers it
Yeah.
pretty well.
Yes.
I think we can continue to talk about whether we want to petition them to reduce the caliper required for protection, but I think that's a separate thing.
Okay.
How this-
I think we also need a public awareness campaign that
Yeah.
this is what the current ordinance is, and that you can't just go cut down a tree because you know chainsaw happy.
Say that again?
I think we need some public awareness around what the ordinance is, and that you can't just go cut down a tree because you're chainsaw happy, or
Right.
you got a new chainsaw for Christmas and you want to test it out in the backyard.
Well, maybe it's the next
Yeah.
thing we put in one of the newsletters that we send out, and the next time
Yeah.
we have an opportunity to put something like that.
And
Yeah.
and to start it off by with what sort of the language that's in the beginning of the letter of how important the tree canopy is for all of our well-being. I think people don't always think of that in the overall scheme of things. They're just thinking about their patio and not about,
Or it would be much easier if I didn't have to clean leaves out of my gutter.
yeah, instead of appreciating the urban forest for the protection it provides us.
That's not going to happen anyway, not cleaning leaves out of our gutters. We live where we live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did get that piece in the
Yeah.
city news about
Mhm.
maintaining trees. That's another awareness is
Yeah.
the tree, it needs maintenance, it needs to be trimmed and thinned
And water.
and watered.
Okay, moving on to the draft work plan. Does everybody have a copy? So have you had a chance to look it over? It looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, so we also thought this is a good chance to, Adrian just starting, talk about goals that align with this, goals that maybe other things you have on your mind or priorities for the committee.
So one thing I was thinking about, and I'm not sure that this is even within the committee's purview, I don't know what we can do about it, if anything. But I was up at the Bog Trail in the park last weekend, and it's the first time I've been up there for a long time. That's in the state and county park. But I noticed, and there have been a lot of volunteer hours invested up there. Joe Cannon used to lead work crews, and the work went on for at least 2 years and maybe longer than
Longer.
that. And the whole area, including the area that was worked on, is just at real risk of being totally overwhelmed by invasive ivy, especially. And I'm just, and cotoneaster, and I'm wondering, is there a way that this committee can ask the county or the technical advisory committee or somebody what the heck is going on up there? I mean, it's really bad. I mean, there are slopes where there's nothing at all but ivy, nothing. So I realize it's not within the Brisbane city limits, but I would be sort of interested in hearing from the county. What
Yeah, I
the
was
hey?
gonna say, I'm gonna ask Bob to speak to that because he's been attending the national.
Oh, have you?
Resource. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Michelle has too, so you might be able to weigh in. They do seem, from it's the Natural Resource Committee group so it's the San Mateo County Parks, and then there's some biologists that spend a lot of time on the mountain that come.
Okay.
Yeah, for the HCP, and so they meet quarterly, and then I've been going the past year, and Michelle goes, and so they, from my understanding, when they get together, they take input from Ariel from San Bruno Mountain Watch goes, and so they do take input from all the biologists that are involved and volunteer and spend their time, and they, their plan seems to be based on like flight corridors and kind of focusing on areas that are, from my understanding, like strategic, biologically, and they know it's a big enough mountain that they can't kind of cover everything. So Michelle might know more about that specific area that you're talking about, and I don't remember. I may have heard that mentioned, but it's not ringing any bells with me. So I know that I don't know if there was just a volunteer effort or what changed for that area, but they seem to be concentrating on some other areas.
So I will speak to this. The resource management group, whatever, I can't remember what it's called. It sort of has kind of a side group to what used to be the technical advisory committee.
Which no longer is?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
It's anyway. Their primary focus is native habitat, in particular the habitat of the HCP, and all the funds that are funneled from the HCP. And so they are, and the area that you're talking about in the saddle, the bog trail, etc., is not. No, it is in the HCP, but it is not considered butterfly habitat. And what has happened is the county. This is my interpretation. But what it seems is that because we have an HCP and we have HCP funding, that all of the focus is on the HCP because the county is the HCP manager. So we don't get the normal focus that a county park or county and state park would get of county resources and volunteer resources, etc., that, say, for instance, Wonderlick or one of the other parks might be getting. And the area you're talking about is a little overwhelming in terms of its degradation because of the ivy. Ivy is a really horrible invasive. And the work that was done before was part of volunteer projects, not county projects, not county funded. It was Joe Cannon and San Bruno Mountain Watch, and that did a lot. I spent many hours up there. And that program is not, we are still doing a lot of restoration work, but we're focusing on areas. San Bruno Mountain Watch is focusing on areas like the dunes habitat and some of the other areas. There's just not enough resources or volunteers to cover all that needs to be covered, and there's not enough money either. And I can't stress that enough. And a lot of our most dedicated volunteers, myself included, are getting too damn old to go up on the side of the mountain with, you know, you've done it, Glenn. You've
Oh,
done-
yeah, I know. I go to meetings all the time now.
Yeah, I go to meetings all the time instead of being out on the mountain, you know, pounding away at weeds and other invasives.
Yeah.
I mean, my back can't do that anymore. I can't kneel anymore.
Well,
And so we need a core of young, healthy volunteers coordinated by the San Mateo County Volunteer Coordinator and San Bruno Mountain Watch to go out and do that work. And that requires funding, and it requires, well, you know how much work it is to put on one of our habitat days, you know, but a small group of people over a period of time can do amazing amounts of work. And so this is sort of the situation. And if you have an issue, one of the best things you can do is write to the county parks manager,
Okay.
not the habitat manager, not Ramona, up the food chain and say, this is the situation at this park. Why aren't you doing it? We're losing. But they consider that an area that's already it's eucalyptus, ivy, cotoneaster, velvet grass, you know, all the big nasties are in that area. And if you can't keep it back, and then the county comes through, and that's an area where they keep 4-foot wide trails, as wide as this aisle, to be able to run their tractors down so that the public has access. And that destroys a lot of the environmental work we've done because it opens it up to more invasives.
So I'll be happy to write. Perhaps somebody could get us the contact information, the address and stuff for the, what did you call it? The county
Parks manager.
parks manager. And we can put it up with the minutes so that the public can see it
Yep.
next meeting. And I don't know, maybe this is somewhere that Adrienne could help us with her contacts at the county level. Maybe she knows where there's a big pool of volunteers or a big pool of money buried somewhere in San Mateo County that,
She knew this was going to be the first.
I just
test.
want to say one other
because
thing, though.
it just made me sad to
It-
see that.
It makes me sad too, but I do want to say one thing about the management, the habitat management plan, and the HCP and our current manager. We are light years ahead of where we were in terms of overall habitat management for the HCP than we were 5 years ago under the poor management that we had under Thomas Reed and Associates. So, you know, my hat's off to Ramona and the staff, the county staff that has been working with the habitat management plan. And the natural resource meetings are dedicated and important and collaborative. And I know you have a really full schedule with teaching, but try to come to the next quarterly meeting, Glenn. They do a lot of really important work. It's just a big mountain with not enough resources.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to add, and Bob is going to continue to go to those, and he can advocate for, you know, if there's an area that volunteers did clean up, that maybe there's value to trying to maintain those. And I know that when we did the annual walk where they take the HCP board principals or staff
And
along,
trustees.
they talk about, and trustees, right? You know, where do you focus on areas that are new invasives are starting, or do you focus on areas where they're already spread and you have limited resources? And, you know, they talk about and different ideas like that. And Bob has also reported that they've talked about, you know, a trial grazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that works with Ivy, but that's something. And then also getting swap workers from the jail, and whether the adjacent agencies could help staff, because they've got to be supervised all the time. And we'd probably be able to do that for periods of time. So they're trying to think of ways to get
Okay.
more hands-on.
No, that's good. And I realize, you know, that it doesn't make sense to deal with the most infested areas, but the reason I was concerned about the bog trail is I spent a lot of hours up there too. A lot of people did. And, you know, the immediate areas where we worked are still clear, but there's tons of cotoneaster and there's tons of ivy. It's just surrounded by the sea of invasives. And, you know, it's not going to last too much longer. The ivy is going to, it's already, you can see little sprigs popping up in the areas where we planted new stuff. And so, you know, at least it would be nice to see that the places that have had restoration done are being policed and protected, and it didn't look to me as though they were. So, that was all.
If you want to send me a Google map or a screenshot or mark out the area you're talking about, if you have a specific area in mind, I can reach out and see, because she also mentioned that Ramona was taking over the volunteer program shortly, and then they hired somebody, maybe as an intern, to do more of the volunteer programs. And she had asked me maybe it's been a couple months now, if there's any areas that we input or any suggestions as they kind of get moving forward with their thoughts. So I think she would
Yeah, or
be
we could
open.
go up there. I could show you.
Yeah,
you know.
perfect.
The bog trail is not very long, and there are
Field
several
trip.
places. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we never do field trips.
Kima and I've climbed the mountain in some of our committee meetings.
So I could show you exactly where I mean. There's a place near the entrance to the bog trail that we did a lot of planning, and there's these huge cotoneaster bushes full
Let's do
of
it.
berries dripping down. It's
All right, well, email me and we'll figure out, and then we'll get that
okay,
to her and get that conversation started.
great, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it was-
awesome.
I was just horrified.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe it's not the highest value habitat, and maybe it does need to be triaged off the list. But there's also something to be said for valuing the work that your volunteers have done, and so that they keep doing more work.
Yeah, but also, it's not primo butterfly habitat. I know
Yeah.
that, but there were quail in there.
Mm-hmm.
There are snakes in there. There's other wildlife in there that, is also valuable.
Yeah.
So, it's not just the endangered species that I think we ought to be concerned about.
No.
So, yeah, I'll be happy to show you exactly what I mean. If you want to go up there.
And it is sad because now I'm thinking through my head of all the volunteers that we worked with during that period of time, Glenn. And it's like one's in a rest home, one's dead. It's like, oh my God. Because we had some octogenarians that were working on that trail with us.
So one thought that just came to mind, having run a grassroots organization that relied a lot on volunteers, we got lots of requests from corporations looking for team building kind of activities, the kind of activity where they could show up one day with a big group and do something that they could see and take their, PR photo and go home. I never used to have a lot of projects like that, but that sounds like this would be the
We have
perfect
tons
kind
of
of things
We have lots of those projects.
for something like that.
lots
So,
of them.
I'm not familiar enough with the big employers in town. I don't know if there would be any here, but certainly countywide, we have plenty of big employers who are always looking for those kind of projects that they can do.
So
let me
the
put it in-
county would have to
yeah, I'll
organize
jump.
that, though.
Yeah. The context is San Bruno Mountain Watch hosts a lot of those type of groups. We have one paid employee. Okay, and it requires knowledge and organization to put those together. You have 40 people show up who know nothing, in one, maybe two people, a paid person and a volunteer, to direct them, organize them and direct them, and explain to them what they're doing. So it sounds good, but it requires dedicated coordination and knowledge and staffing. And
I definitely understand
Yeah,
that. I've
you
been
do.
there. I've declined those kinds of groups before for just that reason.
Yeah.
So I understand,
Yeah.
but I
I'm
think maybe
sure
we
you
can
feel
think
our
about that.
Our pain,
Thank you.
and we've done a remarkable job with the small resources that we've had. We appreciate the city's help in occasionally funding us on different projects, funding San Bruno Mountain Watch. So,
I've participated in a lot of those, and it's funny, I didn't even think about that because I've been on the corporate side participating in those in New Orleans and all over the place. So, hey, that's great because they want to come in, have everybody happy, work hard, get it all done, see the works of their labor, be gone, be happy. Like you said, picture, bye-bye. So that'd be great.
so let's write to the county and see if we can't get some of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, letters from the public are a good first step, and just bug them and see if they would do a better job of kind of keeping the invaders back. Okay, so I guess that probably is not an item for the work plan. Back to the work plan. What does everybody think?
I think it's really well written. It pretty much covers. I can't think of anything that it's not covering. Oh, where's the damn Christmas tree? Just kidding.
Anybody else? Barbara?
Where is the Christmas tree?
It's over on our subcommittee.
I just kind of went through this linear, top to bottom. We're working on the building energy ordinance. We're working on staff training. We haven't touched lighting ordinance based on dark
Little
light
ordinance,
thing.
International.
We've been waiting for our staff person.
I have difficult English today.
It's happened. I've had about 4 hours of sleep.
I kind of thought we had wrapped up energy efficient street lighting.
Like I said, the decorative, or the list says,
Oh yeah, the fancy bulbs. We need the fancy pants bulbs still.
yeah.
Okay.
And other places are getting LEDs in there, so I think somebody's figured out the design. That was,
Okay.
Jeannie was saying they hadn't a couple of years ago, so
Okay, great.
on that.
Yeah, I had forgotten we still needed the fancy pants bulbs. Promoting reuse, recycle, and composting. We have a recycling guide. Christina was telling me that she couldn't really find concise information on South San Francisco Scavengers website. It was not easily, she did not find it to be easily accessible. So I'm just going to pump our little recycling guide that's in the ecology corner at the library. Go get yourself one. Run down there when they open at noon tomorrow. I'm supposed to be working on the municipal waste purchasing, environmentally friendly purchasing thing, and I'll get to that in January after the holidays. Continuing to participate in Bauska, great.
What's the to-do item for the committee on that, Karen?
I don't know if there is right away, unless there is an
Anything to
application
change.
piece that.
Okay.
Oh, we should also pump our coupon that we have out right now, because there are several water saving devices that you can get really cheap at Brisbane Hardware, courtesy of the city of Brisbane. If run out there and do that right now, everybody. Okay.
So if I could just interject something here. It sounds like we really need to figure out some other educational strategies for a lot of the things that we're doing. So maybe we should dedicate some time at a subsequent meeting to talk about what we might do.
Yeah.
January meeting?
Yeah, if we have time in January, let's do it then. And
Okay.
We've talked about making better use of the TV channel, and I don't know if we're doing that. I think we've brought that up several times, but let's actually do it.
My first year on the committee, maybe it was my first year, I don't remember, maybe it was
Yeah,
my
we have
second
that
year.
education and outreach subcommittee.
We still
Yeah.
do.
And
do.
I came across the notes the other day while I was cleaning and I still love the idea of us doing mini YouTube videos, like Interview on the Street. And the project that we did, with Gail, that filming project, that wasn't it. And that got sort of misinterpreted, and it didn't end up being anything like what I was hoping we would do. And so I'm still hoping that we do, these little, kind of 1 to 2 minute amateur videos, separate little vignettes, education vignettes on what we should do, or and I should find those notes. I think we actually have them, as we photographed the board and everything.
Yeah, I still have mine somewhere. I ran across them not too long ago either.
Well, it's easy
And-
enough to do now, so we just have to come up with the
Yeah.
discussion, who's the person that has the most, education about that, so they can teach and.
It's
share
not even.
their
It's not even that much. In some ways, the whole idea was it was a grassroots effort, where you go out and you interview individuals about certain things, like what they're doing. Like, so tell me about your rain barrels, Megan. you know.
I wish I had some.
There you go. But you know what I mean. So different people have, and and then it kind of gets to be a community thing where it kind of,
And I think getting some questions together too.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps to have.
or picking out people to interview, to
Go
start.
interview at Ron's little coffee thing with this little thing about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great place to kick it off.
Let me suggest that everybody do some thinking about
Ron
this and that we
Davis.
agendize it.
Yeah, he has this, what's it called, coffee to something blog?
Coffee to close or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He has a little blog kind of. He does little YouTube.
Yeah, it's like a
has
video blog.
conversations with different people on different discussion, whatever it is that happens to come up.
mm-hmm.
Have any, I'm going to sidetrack us one more time. Has anybody else on the committee here taken advantage of the coupon?
What is the coupon again?
This is the Star, right? Or is it the City News?
Star. Or
Whatever
which
it's
one?
called, every other, I guess City News now.
Okay, the City News.
It's a whole page.
It's a whole page.
The whole page coupon. I did see it.
What's the coupon for?
Uh,
I got the star. I
Low
rem-
shower heads,
LED
LED.
lights, weather
$1 for this,
stripping.
$3 for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
clothespin.
It had a whole list
Fine,
of all the different
that kind
things
of
you can have
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
It was the coupon that went with the toolkit.
Yep.
Yeah.
The toolkit's being rolled out to the library. We just did the coupon separately
Yeah.
to promote
Promote
sustainable
going and
engagement.
getting it. Yeah.
Go and get stuff.
When did
It all
that
came
happen?
out of when we were doing the toolkit and
No, I
the-
remember
yeah.
that. I saw the star, and I don't think I remember seeing the coupon.
Yeah.
It was a whole, yeah.
It was published
Big. I was
sideways.
like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was good. It was really
Published
good.
sideways, so you have to turn the paper around to read it.
I'm dyslexic. I don't have to do that.
She looks in the mirror.
Okay, I'll go back and look at it.
I was just going to continue on to road emissions transportation. I still think we should be hitting up some kind of carbon reduction transportation grant or something to help us out with that school bus. Because that school bus is slated to go away again. That takes all the kids, all the Brisbane kids over the hill to go to school in Daly City and Pacifica. And yeah, that's going away again. So you'd have, 50 cars taken, because I think it's about 50 kids that ride the school bus. And if they're not on the school bus, then that's 50 parents who have to take their kids to school, and 50 parents, that's an extra 100 trips a day. And it seems to me there damn well ought to be some support for us out there. And I don't know why the school district doesn't want to take it on, but they don't, and I don't know how to make them, so
Or maybe we could add school bus to the items.
yeah. Under the road emissions and transportation.
Well,
I'm
I'll
not
tell you
sure.
one reason they don't is because the nearest school is only 6 miles away, not 19 miles away.
So I'm not copying.
Brisbane parents didn't want their kids to go to Jefferson. They used to provide a bus to go to Jefferson, which is only 6 miles away. But Brisbane parents didn't want their kids to go to Jefferson, so they made a big push to have Brisbane kids go to Terra Nova, which is a lot further, like 3 times as far.
Yeah, my son goes to Oceana because we felt that was the best school for him.
Right.
And that is the furthest away one.
Yep.
Eastmore, that's good.
So
But those choices didn't used to exist. You either went to the school that you
Yeah.
got assigned to and they provided transportation, or you found your way to somewhere else.
So are there enough kids going to one place that we could support a school bus?
well, I can tell you that the school bus that takes the kids to Terra Nova and Oceana, it's one bus. The kids have to leave at 7 a.m. Because it makes the 2 stops. Holds about 50, takes about 50 kids.
Okay. Well, we could talk
This is a
about it.
discussion for the council, not
Yes.
for us.
Well, I don't think it. I mean, we're invested in sustainability, and transportation is a third of that. So
probably discussion for a subcommittee.
Yeah, sure.
To make recommendations to the council.
Sure.
So
I mean, I totally think that discussing this in subcommittee,
move
what we
on
might be able to do.
and consider what else we should add to this work
Yep.
plan.
I didn't have any other input on any of these other items. These other items I thought were pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we may add to this as we go along, as we usually do, and then not get it all done by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just wanted to pass it by you, as I said before, new council member, new assignments to liaisons to committees, so we were meeting with our council liaisons typically in November, but we'll probably do it sometime after the first of the year, so we can revisit this but we'll.
I think it
go
looks
through
really
this with
good.
them and Get their feedback.
Yeah, I think it's good. So do we need a motion to adopt this?
No.
Okay.
It's a discussion item.
Okay, great.
We wanna do subcommittee updates if there are any?
Do we
I
have any-
don't have any.
No.
We did the climate action planning subcommittee did not meet. We pushed it back 1 week due to our personal schedules. So we'll actually be meeting tomorrow. So I don't think we have anything to report.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Chair, is this when we do chair and committee member matters?
Yeah, we can also do.
Or do we have calendar items first?
As you want, but do we wanna talk about, well, I don't know, staff updates or whatever, the Habitat Restoration Day? I wanted to just circle back on that. You had asked last month about doing a planting day.
Yeah, was that staff updates or calendar?
Either.
All right, well, let me just get my chair and committee member matter off my chest. I'm concerned with and this is about open space or livable space, with the amount of what I think of as overbuilding on infill structures in Brisbane. I just heard today about another one of the lots in the flatter areas where there's a small house set back far, but they're tearing it down. They're going to build a huge 27-foot tall, practically bumper to bumper house. And like on Klamath Street, where Millie Cossack's house used to be, they replaced it with a larger structure and then added onto it. And this seems to be a trend, is to build out every lot to its maximum and then some. And I'm concerned about it because it's not leaving any, it's becoming extremely dense.
Cement.
And
Can I ask just a clarifying question? Are
Yeah.
you talking about single-family houses? Or are you talking
Yeah.
about apartment buildings or what?
well, they're supposed to be single-family houses.
Okay.
Many of them are now becoming multi-family houses or duplexes or multi-units, and because of the housing crisis, there's a lot of pressure to build. And in some areas, single-family houses on small lots that are over 3,000 square feet are just really not very sustainable, Brisbane-like. I don't know how to express what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling like there's no space between houses anymore. It's becoming extremely packed and concreted over.
Just a couple things on that. I personally have fewer objections if it's multifamily housing because, like it or not, either we get somewhat more dense or we sprawl all over the place. Those are the choices.
Right, but it's single-family homes.
So single-family homes, I couldn't agree with you more, and I did read that one of the East Bay cities, I think it was San Leandro or maybe Fremont,
No.
passed an ordinance limiting the size of single-family houses. And I think we should consider one of those for Brisbane.
I do too.
So, I'm going to be political here for a moment.
Really? Fall off my chair.
Thanks for your support, Michelle.
That was support, Barbara.
So, did I ever put you up to this? Did I say anything to you about this? Did you?
No,
No? No?
No.
Okay.
it's been a concern of mine for a very long time.
Yeah. Because I and Greg tried to bring this up before the Planning Commission. We requested he formally requested, and I and a few other people were behind it, a informational session so we could just ask questions about, okay, what are the rules? What could we do? What groups would be hurt by this? Are there ways we could maybe address this issue without it being so painful? It was basically just supposed to be an informational session. Questions. It was just supposed to be questions. And one of the planning commissioners threw a temper tantrum, is basically what I would call it, and said she refused to have this issue come before the Planning Commission because it wasn't a hearing. Well, it wasn't a hearing. It was just supposed to be an informational session to see what the hearing was going to, what the proposal for the hearing was going to be. I mean, people just don't even know, like, what the limitations are.
Yeah.
And she basically just peed all over it, frankly.
Ooh. So,
Way to put it.
can we have an informational session?
I
'Cause
would like to have an informational session.
This is of concern, especially it kind of goes, what made me really think about bringing it up is the tree canopy issues where people want to clear their lots,
Yeah.
and build.
We had been waiting because of the Baylands. We had been waiting 14 months
Mm-hmm.
to bring that before the Planning Commission, and in one evening, she just refused to even hear it.
Oh, she won't be on the planning commission for long, unfortunately. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
be that as it may,
Mhm.
I'm concerned about it, and I mean, pretty soon there's like no animal corridors. There's no
Yeah.
flight corridors for birds. The tree canopy is being decimated. I feel like we're in a bad scene in Lord of the Rings, where whatever the Hobbit town is gets totally, industrialized. I feel like, is there something that as open space and ecology that we should be addressing here in terms of, these monster houses that are being built? 7,000 square feet. Oh, that's
Yeah.
never mind. So
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, we could consider, I think the city could consider allowing duplexes, because if you're going to have that 7,000 square foot houses, why don't you house two families instead of one?
that's enough for 3.
Normally, they're going to
Some
have
countries,
3, 4,
that's
or
enough for
5
10.
I mean, I think we have to kind of start looking and reevaluating our perceptions about homes. Because it's just kind of like,
It's tough because the law is you own your home, and as long as they're following the law. My
Yeah,
concern is when sometimes they
exactly.
twist the law and
Yeah.
change the way the house is put on a property so they can make it a 5,000 square foot home, which normally you wouldn't be able to do 3. So there's funny little things that are
Yeah, and
height in there and the amount of trees they take down. So there's
so
definitely
it's a matter of
it's for
changing the
having
ordinances and the laws to
So-
be more sustainable.
Yeah, we can't do that, but we can have an informational session, because
Yeah,
the minimum setbacks are 5 foot on the side and 10 foot in the front and back. And there's no room for any kind of habitat if you build out.
I thought it was 3
There.
foot from the side now.
It might be.
Well, setbacks and housing sizes, I think, are two different things. So,
Absolutely, but
They probably-
they're interconnected, and
They
I
really
don't know how to approach this issue. I'm open to an informational session and to find out what we can do without really. I mean, I don't want to hurt people and their property rights. I'd like to
Well, that's exactly
Yeah,
why they would
exactly.
be, that's why people get upset about these
Yeah.
things, is because they do consider it an infringement on property rights.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just looking at my phone, and it looks like Sonoma County also passed a size limit in the unincorporated areas of the county. Single-family houses are supposed to be 3,000 square feet. So there is a precedent for it. I wonder if maybe staff could do a little research on it and just kind of tell us what's out there in terms of size limits.
I guess I want to ask, I'm a little reluctant when I hear this because the planning commission does govern,
Yeah,
oversee what happens. in the
but I
planning
mean,
commission.
it.
Can I just say?
Well, but,
Can I just say what I was going to say?
oh, yeah.
Sure. Sorry, Karen. You're right.
And the planning staff does apply the rules, and I think the council would have to decide that that was a concern that we should be discussing, because there are bodies that have everything to do with that, and our role, I think, is.
Can I
I
speak?
understand what you're saying.
Their role is about what is built, but our role is about the space in between
Mhm.
I think that's
And-
valid.
and the ecology
Right.
of
Surrounding.
And
the
as a
surrounding
reminder,
area.
in terms of what lot coverage is allowed now, is we are asking the council that the remaining lot coverage, the remaining area not covered by a structure or its access, be half landscaping, and we should bring that up again, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing it seems to me this committee could do is prepare a report, maybe not terribly long, just on the environmental consequences or impact of super large houses, because people may not realize that the bigger the house, the more energy it tends to use, and even if it's a greenhouse, you're still using a lot more building materials and stuff like that. And we could prepare a little report.
Sure.
What do you think about that, Adrian?
Making me go for the heavy stuff right off the bat.
Absolutely.
I think
Did it warn you?
it's definitely something to consider and talk about. And if Karen feels it's appropriate, I'd be happy to look into it. I tend to like to approach people with the positive and proactive rather than the negative. So, I like the idea of talking about how a bigger house requires more resources and energy. The tiny house movement is growing, and so I think there are a couple of different ways that you could approach that from a kind of public education and awareness kind of standpoint. This is kind of getting into the weeds, but I know a couple of years ago, I believe Berkeley was one of the main organizations driving it, did a consumption-based greenhouse gas emissions inventory. Most of the climate action plans inventories don't look at individual consumption, and obviously here we have high incomes compared to a lot of other places, and it really showed that difference. So I think there might be some ways to kind of approach that it might be more comfortable for people. I think people tend to get very defensive when you approach them and say that thing that you want to do, you can't do it. So I like to try to avoid that where possible, but I think it's definitely something, as appropriate that I would be willing to look into for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
we bring it up when we meet with the liaisons. How about that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm just, I've just been desperate to start this conversation, and I think Michelle has been too, and a couple of other people for a while,
Interesting.
And it's like we don't even know what we're asking yet. Are we asking for the negative? Can we ask for the positive? What are the terms? What are our limitations? What's our latitude?
Yeah. I mean, breathable space. I mean,
Yeah.
It's an interesting discussion.
it's hard because, the good, each person's, I always think of them as like soap bubbles. Each person's individual rights are like a soap bubble around you, and your bubble, and the next person's bubble. Well, your bubble can't get so big that it pops the next person's bubble. That's not fair. So there's, there's a lot of give and take to keep all the soap bubbles, viable. And individual property rights versus the greater good in a society is always going
Oh,
to
yeah.
be a question. And, we talked a little bit about our backgrounds. At the age of 6, I should not have known, words like eminent domain. But I did, because that happened here in Brisbane, where, and so it's a tough issue. But it is one that moving forward with the pressures of overpopulation that we're going to need to address.
So maybe for the next meeting, you could run some options by us?
Yeah, I just also wanted to say one other thought I'd had is that building really big homes decreases affordability dramatically. So, maybe we can approach it from an environmental, preservation, open space preservation state, and maybe we can approach it from a affordability standpoint too.
Affordability standpoint is not on our docket for sure,
That's true.
but the
Okay,
There's
never mind.
sustainability and
Say
the,
that in a report.
and,
Yeah,
the sustainability and the
it's true.
livability, open space, and ecology part of it is.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Right?
on to any other fun stuff?
We ready for
Um,
staff updates?
Oh, one other thing is that terms are coming to a close and new terms are beginning.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my staff updates, that the city clerk is going to be, I don't know if there's another council action that has to happen. Maybe it's on the council agenda for tomorrow, and then they are going to open, take applications. So anyone that term has expired needs to reapply.
And also, the general public, there's lots of work to be done. So, if you're really passionate about it,
We
don't
have a couple
hesitate to throw your
positions
hat in the
open,
ring.
right?
Yeah, we have a couple of positions open,
Right.
regardless of,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it'll be advertised, and
Okay.
might get some new
I
blood.
just want to encourage, people who are interested to step up.
Yeah.
If they're watching this tonight, they're interested.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
tell how much fun we have.
Yeah.
No, but it is, if it's important to you, definitely.
So are we going to review the annual report on our accomplishments this time, or is that going to be put off till next month?
We were drafting it. I can email it out.
Okay.
See if you
That'd
guys
be
have
Sure.
comments on it.
Yeah.
And so, calendar-wise, again, I think I can't read it, but what we do this time of year is council liaisons. I said we're going to do that in a couple months. So, you've got report of accomplishments, right? So I think we've kind of got what we need to do to wrap up this year. And you guys asked about the positions, so I guess we're on to staff updates. Unless there are any other chair or committee member matters. I think
Oh, I have something silly. I have a half pumpkin. That if anybody would like some pumpkin,
I have a whole pumpkin if anyone would like it.
mine's
Or my compost.
yeah, mine's not a jack-o'-lantern. It's a pie pumpkin.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Pumpkin curry, anyone?
Okay.
I'm trying to eliminate.
to the
This is zero
calendar.
food waste.
Which subcommittee is this?
Okay, this is the zero food waste subcommittee. Okay.
On to staff updates.
Okay, I have a couple. You guys, you probably saw that you'd asked about the Monterey Pines at BES.
Yeah, they're down.
Well, we sent them a letter, and then I called the superintendent because that's
Mhm.
not necessarily good news. If they don't know, which they did
Yeah.
know, but we're kind of pushing you to take them down, and they already had it scheduled, and it was happening 2 days after the letter went out.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Great.
Thank you.
Good.
And what about the ones at Lippman?
All our intention.
Sorry, those are really dangerous too.
Oh,
Tell me where.
Well, as when you're in the schoolyard to the west, there's a huge grove, and they actually have activities in there, and they're mostly dead.
And I'm picturing myself up there. I can't think of what way.
Okay,
I guess
It's on the
further up,
slope.
Going up.
yeah, on the slope.
Yeah.
Kind of behind the driveway, I guess.
Yeah.
Or in, yeah. to the south
On the
of
western
driveway.
edge of the schoolyard. This,
Okay. So that's not along Old Quarry Road, it's
no, not
Above
along
it.
Old
like
Quarry
the other
Road.
side
Above
of
it.
the
Like
schoolyard.
along the,
Yeah.
where the actual schoolyard is.
Okay.
There was a grove that was planted there as a windbreak for the schoolyard, and they are,
Good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
oh yeah, they've been ugly for a long time.
I haven't been up there for a long time. I do
Yeah.
remember the last time I was there, they weren't.
Yeah. And I was actually afraid during the Easter egg hunt for kids to be in that.
Maybe they're planning to take those out too.
I don't know.
Maybe call first this time.
So speaking of trees, there's one other tree. I'm not sure who it belongs to. It's a broadleaf tree. At least it used to be. It's now dead. It doesn't have any leaves. It's, I think it's on North Hill, up by the deli, right near Guadalupe Canyon Road. As you're going up to Guadalupe Canyon, there's a big dead tree on the right side of the road.
How do I miss that? I'm just saying, how do I miss that when I go up there?
So do you know where I'm talking?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You mean where you turn left on
Where?
on North Hill Drive? I mean, you turn right on North Hill Drive?
Mm-hmm. To go up
Go
to
up to
Guadalupe Canyon Road.
Guadalupe.
Okay.
And there's that complex of buildings right at the intersection of Guadalupe Canyon Road
Yeah.
and I guess it's North Hill. And a little bit before that, there's this big dead tree. And it's been dead for quite a while.
On the same side as 150 North Hill, the complex, on the
Yeah.
same side.
Go look.
We'll have to see if that's theirs or ours.
And I'm sorry, I'm always in the car when I go by it, so I'm not on the phone.
Oh,
And it's a
Stop,
bad place
take
to
a photo.
stop, so I have never taken a picture of it or anything. But
That's okay. It's dead. Probably figure it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you guys went over a couple things on my staff updates. Still working on the EV charging station at the Brisbane Village, and it's been tough with PG&E. I think it's gonna happen. I'm running up against a deadline to get the grant needs to be spent this year, and
Yeah.
process is long, but I think it's gonna work, and I'll keep you guys updated.
Thank you.
Is there
Good.
anywhere else, if that doesn't work, that you can put a charging station?
Oh no, it would be a matter of we asked for money
Money.
there, and we need to spend it by the end of this year.
Okay.
So their grant has been reduced because I thought if we can't make it this year, we reapply, and they said, well, you get less money and you have to have more use, or you have to pay back some of the money. So we want to try to.
I think that's a
That's great.
priority for Adrian.
And we had someone from the community. I feel like Glenn, you got on an email too that had asked about they were in one of the HOAs and a charger at Mission Blue Center. And I know that existing multifamily housing has been a challenge that the countywide working group has talked about, and lots of people are trying to crack the nut of, because you really need your if it's your landlord or your HOA to be on board to potentially upgrade your electrical, to have a charger at your parking space, and
So I did send an email about that because I'm on Nextdoor and I saw there was somebody who asked a question on Nextdoor saying there's no EV charging station at Alta Vista. And this person was apparently interested in that. And so when I wrote you the email, I thought, well, is there EV charging at any of the Ridge development? And I don't believe there is. And I figured probably it was the responsibility of the HOA, but I mentioned Mission Blue because that is pretty close to all those houses up there, and I was wondering, well, maybe there could be one at Mission Blue, and that would serve all of those.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how to survey, if it would get enough use, because they do cost. Like the one at the Village, we're probably going to have to supplement the fee so that we get enough use to not have to pay back some of the grant and get people to.
What are we talking?
It would
the
be a
infrastructure
project.
first, it's-
It would be a project. It was just a query.
Right.
But this one person did seem interested in getting an electric car, but said there's nowhere to charge it up here, and there isn't.
Right. So, part of what Peninsula Sun Shares is doing with the discounted, they've got solar, and they had their electric vehicles all sold out, but they also have a charging program, so we're seeing if that applies to multifamily, cause they have a
Oh, that'd be
discounted bulk
good.
purchase rate, and that might be,
Oh, yeah.
It would probably be better to put a charger in each of those developments than at Mission Blue because the walking distance is a lot shorter. But I was thinking, well, if there's some reason that the developments can't or won't do it, the HOAs won't do it,
One
then
each.
maybe the city could do it at Mission Blue.
yeah, and it's, you've gotta think about what the use is, because what we're putting in the village is a faster charger, and it's kind of a top-off if you're passing through or heading out, maybe, and you didn't get enough charge at home. But at Mission Blue, you'd have to put your car on, and then would you queue, and then you'd have to walk down the street and take your car off, and somebody else would come on, because the activity at Mission Blue wouldn't be enough, I don't think, to necessitate a charger. And then,
No, I was thinking about Mission Blue as somewhere
Area.
that's fairly close to
right,
the complexes on the ridge.
Yeah.
If they couldn't get them in the complexes, then maybe Mission Blue would work. And I think looking at usage is maybe not the best way to look at this because it's a chicken and egg question. If people are thinking about getting an electric car, but there's nowhere that they can think of that would be practical to charge their car, they're not going to buy one. Whereas if the charger is there, maybe more people would buy one.
I'm just saying, I don't know if it's convenient enough, but if there's a way, if we can think of anything to crack the nut of the HOA being understanding, like, make that process easier for them. I mean, there is a cost, but they all benefit. But that would be, it's definitely more convenient to have the electrical facility and you have a simple charger in your parking space, because you need it every night, right? And Barbara has an electric.
Right. So maybe this is something the Climate Action Plan Subcommittee could work on. We've clearly got a lot of questions that need to be answered about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put it on
I don't know anything about this.
you do, yeah. Okay, so that was all I had, and I don't know if, I prepped Adrian to give a couple of updates, and I don't know if, Bob, you have anything. You've been getting Adrian up to speed on how to have meetings, right? So.
So I was just going to note a couple of things that I've started to work on. Granted, I've only been here, I think today's my 7th day. So, but just a couple of things. Sun Shares, I'm guessing you guys are all probably familiar with that program now. The deadline was extended until the end of November. And so I wrote up an article for the Luminary. So we're going to try to hit another audience. So I believe that should be going out next week. So just enough time, hopefully, for people to get on the website, sign up, and then they have some extra time after that to actually go through the whole process. I've spent some time reviewing the climate action plan, so I have a lot of ideas and questions and things to discuss with the subcommittee tomorrow. And then I am also looking into San Mateo County Energy Watch has an energy efficiency grant for staff and consultant times for municipalities. So I'm going to be meeting tomorrow with our senior engineer to talk about whether there's a project that we have, a pump station project, that would be eligible for that. So those are a couple of things. I'm also on my to-do list, including looking into the multifamily solar and electric vehicle charging, also looking into an electric van for Parks and Rec. That's been something that they've been interested in for a while, and so I'm going to see if we can find some resources to maybe make that happen.
And a place to plug it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
The staff at Point Lobos State Park have an electric minivan. I saw it this weekend and I was like, oh, what a cool van, and I didn't. So before I forget, if you want to. Yeah.
Did we,
Any other staff updates?
just curious about the calendar, did we,
How are the bids going for solar on City Hall?
Oh, right, you want an update on that. Bids were open, they're design build bids, so what I understand is that the different bidders bid for a different amount of solar, and I don't know if I guess there's a net metering option that there's. Now I got that update like a week ago. There are advantages to going more or less, and one is going to go to council on December 14th recommend to adopt?
I can tell you that almost all the bids I've seen for residential solar, they use the San Francisco, what's the term? The number of sun hours in a day, average number of sun hours a day, and there's a word for it, and I can't remember.
Insulation?
No. But we actually
Solar
get
potential, I think. is
yeah,
what
I
you're
think
looking
solar
for?
potential. But we actually have quite a bit higher solar potential here in Brisbane than they have in San Francisco. So systems tend to get oversized here in Brisbane. So I would recommend the city council go slightly under.
I will pass that on. I didn't get into the nuts and bolts, but I'll definitely have that
That's
discussion.
good to know.
Thank you.
That's very good to know.
And I'm sorry, there were a couple of other things. I wrote them in funny places. The city attorney said that he did, I haven't watched the meeting, but Adrian said she did, brought the open space, how do we deal with the Brisbane acres and protecting them as open space issue to the council, I think on the 26th. And they referred it back to our committee for further, I'm not sure, discussion. You could watch the meeting, but we're thinking of having him come in January. He wants to revisit. So I guess they have, if I remember right, they have an interest in one approach or another, and they wanted us to further comment on their
When was the
recommendations,
meeting?
I guess. October 26th, I believe in it. He said it was late. towards
'Cause
the
I
end of the
thought-
meeting.
I thought they hadn't covered it after all.
No, he said that they did. Will you watch?
Yeah, I just watched I think it was the October 26th meeting. It is towards the end that they discuss it. They discussed some of the other options and really didn't feel that any of the options, would have the goal of permanently protecting. They had some concerns about relinquishing control to another agency. So it seemed like they were leaning more in the direction of a city declaration. It could, of course, be overturned by a future council, but it seemed that the council all thought that Brisbane's citizens would react poorly to that, and so future councils would be disinclined to try to do anything to remove that protection, since they would have to, proactively remove that protection if a declaration was made. So that it sounded like kind of the recommendation they were making, but there was a lot of back and forth. If you have time, I recommend checking out the discussion, because you probably know your council members better than I do, so you can hear what they all had to say.
And this was probably at midnight, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I always stay to the bitter end, and I thought I went to that one, but I'm
Yeah. Okay.
Damn, you're good.
Was that the CIP meeting? I think it was. Anyways,
So
There.
Michael Roush is going to come back to us at what meeting? January?
probably January, yeah.
Okay. So could you let us know? And
Yeah.
okay, because I know that I was asked about this again at our last board meeting.
Mountain Watch.
Yeah.
And then, losing my train of thought. Oh, about the planting, the Habitat Restoration Day. So staff is open to doing one in January. A little concerned about if the weather is bad, but I guess it's try it, and then if it really fails, then we've learned something. But do we have enough tools from stock that we have? I guess the rec department says they have some. I don't know if Mountain Watch would have, because we're digging instead of removing now.
Right.
And do we actually have the plants? Does Mission Blue Nursery have plants available for a planting day?
So that we should, I sort of mentioned it to Ariel, but this would be it. Adrian. A great opportunity for Adrian to meet Ariel and have a brief chat about it and find out. Is that something you,
Yeah, it was on the list. For
Okay.
the tour.
Do
places
you
to
know,
look
Michelle,
at.
roughly how much lead time they need? I mean, if they were going to sort of beef up their stock for this event, would they?
yeah, we would need to know like right away. Depends if, or we may have a planting day with stock that we have available. That's the thing. I don't know what we have available right now. We have a plant sale this Saturday. So, but normally the plants that we plant out are not the same size as the ones we sell. We normally sell big ones and we plant out cell pack size.
Is Ariel work? Is he full time Monday through Friday?
Yeah, he's definitely full time.
And do you know if it's usually at the nursery or the office or one or the other?
I don't know. Do you have his cell?
I have an email. It might have a cell on it.
Yeah, you can email him and then, yeah.
Perfect.
And if you can't reach him, Bob, call me and I'll give you his.
Yeah. No, I've contacted. We've
Okay.
gone back and forth a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, yeah, if we do have the plants and it's, not a huge acquisition to get some tools, then,
And we
Staff
have
is open.
tools as well.
right, okay. So staff's open to trying that in
Mhm.
either late January, early February. They said it's light rec-wise on the calendar and.
Yep. And I mean, we should, if we decide to have the event, we should plan it as a rain or shine and warn people it's a rain or shine. We're going to plant, if it's raining, wear your rubbers,
Bring your big umbrella if you have a beach umbrella.
I think you really can't plant with an umbrella. Just prepare to get wet, I mean, it just is what it is. If we plan it and we know it's raining, we'll know it's raining that morning, wear your rain jacket or wear your
So are we focusing on Castaños or Firth?
Firth.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they're both good candidates.
Yeah, but we're focusing on the area where the to begin the planting in Firth from the area that's been cleared.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to make a decision, like at our December meeting, right?
I'm
Yes.
thinking that we know that you want to do it, so if we can make it happen, it's happening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm thinking probably potential dates we had talked about. I'm thinking more into February.
Okay, yeah, you said either the last weekend in January or early February.
We talked about February 3rd. I thought we had kind of
Okay.
come to a consensus around that.
Yeah.
So can
But-
we publicize it enough?
Not until we
Confirm.
coordinate with Ariel
Yeah, just want to
Yeah.
confirm we have material.
and direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so forward. I guess. Are you going backwards? For the next meeting, our fourth Wednesday is the 27th.
Is
so
the 27th?
of December.
Yeah, I don't think that's
that.
what.
And then the one before is the 20th. I mean, I'm open to canceling December. I was going to recommend it, but I want you guys to. Your part.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think subcommittees have work to do, so, but you okay with canceling the December meeting?
Either way is fine with me. I mean, I don't think I'm going anywhere this year, so
Anybody else have any
I would
objections?
probably just be like flopping on the couch after Dickens Fair closing.
There's a lot of stuff to do, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll meet January, it was 23rd.
But will you let us know? Can you send us
Dates.
about the Habitat Day, the planting day? Because if we are going to
that
do it,
out.
we need to really push to do it. I don't think that we'll have T-shirts for that. I think maybe it'd be a great time to give out rain hats instead, or gloves. Gloves would be awesome.
Gloves are cheap.
Yeah, everybody get their own pair of,
They get to
Waterproof.
take home nice, not
Yeah.
nice, but they're
those, like the kind of gloves we use. That would be an awesome thing for people. Then, because they're going to be really nasty after planting in the mud.
Yeah.
T-shirts cost, but we usually get them sponsored, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten them.
Traditionally, Recology has sponsored these events.
Mm-hmm.
We pay for the T-shirts and for the food and the porta potty
Yeah.
and.
I was just wondering, like, is the T-shirt more expensive or is gloves more expensive?
The t-shirt's more expensive and has a longer lead time, but you know what? We don't, volunteering is the gift
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. No, I was just
can-
curious.
I don't think we really need a tchotchke for this one.
I don't need any more T-shirts, pretty much.
I don't need any more T-shirts.
So,
You know?
seriously, if
I'd
somebody's
appreciate a
doing
pair of
it, love-
gloves, though,
right.
actually.
Yeah,
because
I'd
I don't know what the
appreciate a
hell
pair of
happened. My
gloves.
garden eats them.
Yeah.
I took mine out the other day and I'm like, and I
Gloves
threw
are
one
something
pair
you
away.
can always
after the last-
use and instead of a T-shirt, which
Yeah,
doesn't.
Yeah, okay, that can be a good idea.
yeah. And then extras can always be donated to San Bruno Mountain Watch because we go through them, they wear out.
There you go.
Yeah. Can we get them through Ace Hardware and support our local businesses? Is that possible?
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Probably.
And we don't even
Probably.
have to have a picture or a logo on them
Yeah.
unless you
Well,
want
we
to.
may not
Mhm.
by January, so yeah, we may not be able to do that by January, so.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be really awesome. I mean, we'll be putting money towards plants, but I'm excited about that. Little rain planting.
Yeah.
It'd be exciting.
Are we trying to set a January meeting date?
Well, our fourth Wednesday is the 24th, so.
Is
Okay.
that too close to our other?
I thought it was 23rd.
Is it?
Oh, no, you're right, 24th.
Okay.
That sounds good then. What, what?
It feels like it's so far away. But that's okay. It'll go fast. All right. Thank you. Welcome, Adrian. Bye, everybody. Move to adjourn.
Yes. Marcia.
Second.
Good.